You have a truth you are terrified to speak, a conviction you hide to stay safe, a stand you refuse to take to keep the peace. God knows the weight of that silence. So did Elijah. And this is the cost of breaking it. Elijah stands on the edge of extinction, one voice against an empire's roar, a single breath before the storm swallows it whole. You know what it costs to stand when the ground gives way, when every instinct screams to kneel, to vanish, to become no one. The earth below him cracked, split open like a wound that won't close. 3 years of sun hammering down without relief. No cloud, no whisper of mist. Dust shifts underfoot, fine as ash, carried in slow spirals by a wind that tastes of salt and decay. The land remembers water. It aches for it. But the cisterns are bones, the rivers, scars. 1 Kings 18. Ahab walks the palace courts, his shadow thin as old parchment. He wears a crown, but it is not his will that rules. His eyes dart, never still, never certain. A man caught between thrones, the one beneath him and the one inside his wife's mind. He speaks in half-truths, rules through silence, compromises like breathing. And Jezebel, her name is a blade without a handle, sharp on both sides. She does not whisper. She decrees. Her presence is felt in the absence of prayer, in the hush where prophets once cried out. 85 altars fed at her table, 850 mouths shouting to Baal, their voices rising in shrill unison, their hands slick with blood not their own. Smoke curls from stone platforms, incense thick as rope coils around the city's throat. The prophets gather, robed in purple, gilded with lies. They eat well, laugh loud. Their God demands fire, but they offer only noise. They beat their chests, cut their arms, the rhythm of desperation, a performance polished by power. And then, Elijah. He emerges from the wilderness, not with fanfare, but like a rumor the earth could no longer contain. His cloak is dust-colored, his beard tangled with wind and time. No army behind him, no scroll of credentials, just a staff, a voice, a command buried in his bones. 1 against 850. The number hangs in the air like a noose. Mount Carmel rises, a spine of rock jutting toward the sea. The Mediterranean glints below, indifferent. The wind here does not soothe. It scrapes. It carries the scent of brine and burnt offerings. Stones, bleached white by the sun, crunch underfoot. This is no temple, no sanctuary, but a stage built by centuries of sacrifice, some holy, most not. The people gather, thin, hollow-eyed. They have forgotten how to pray. Their knees stiff from bowing to false gods. They watch Elijah not with hope, but with the dull curiosity of those who have seen too many men die for words. Heat shimmers above the altar stones. The air vibrates. A fly lands on a cracked lip of a priest. No one brushes it away. The silence between chants is longer than the chants themselves. Something is coming. Not rain, not yet, but a reckoning. You have stood where he stands, not on a mountain perhaps, but in a room where truth must be spoken. Where to speak is to risk everything, love, position, safety. Where to stay silent is to die slowly. How does one man ignite a nation's soul when the flame has been buried under decades of compromise, when the king is a puppet, the people numb, and the sky empty of mercy? What happens if he fails? They waver, hesitate, feet dragging like stones in mud, not walking, dragging. Each step a stumble between altars, between oaths, between gods, the people. Not running, not kneeling, just limping, as if their bones remember two masters and cannot choose. The Hebrew word scrapes the air, pasa, to limp, to falter, to be lopsided in the soul. No straight path, no true north. Only the stagger of a nation drunk on compromise. You see it in their eyes, flickers of old fear, old hunger. The kind that gnaws when rain hasn't fallen in 3 years. Baal, not a block of carved wood, not a mute idol with hollow eyes, but the rider of the clouds. That's what they called him, the one who splits the sky with thunder, who drives chariots of lightning across the belly of the storm. He was supposed to answer, supposed to send the downpour, the flood, the life. But 3 years, 3 seasons turned to dust, 3 summers that baked the soil into cracked plates, and still, no voice from the heavens, no rumble, no flash, just silence wrapped in heat. Elijah stands, alone. The weight settles behind his ribs. A truth. I am the only one left. Not pride, not arrogance, a wound, a fact carved into his marrow. 850 scream to a God who does not answer, and he, just one, waits for the one who does. But what if he doesn't? What if the silence is final? What if the covenant is broken? The wind carries no reply, only the scent of sweat and old blood. Then the chanting begins, a rhythm, not song, not prayer, a hammering, one voice, then 10, then all, a wave of sound crashing against the sky. Baal, 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 over and over, like fists beating a door that won't open, their throats raw, their breath ragged. Morning bleeds into noon, the sun climbs, the stones glow, still they cry, still they plead, still they demand, and the sky empty, no flicker, no shadow, no breath of wind in answer. The universe holds its breath, not out of reverence, out of absence. The silence isn't quiet. It presses, like a hand on the chest, like stone on stone. You can hear it, the dry click of a tongue against the roof of a mouth, the gasp between syllables, the crack of a voice breaking. No fire, no flame, no sign. Then, mockery, sharp, sudden. Elijah steps forward. His voice cuts through the chant like flint on steel. Shout louder! He laughs, not joy, a dry, cracked thing. Maybe he's dreaming. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's on a journey. The words hang, bitter, true. The prophets flinch, but they don't stop, can't stop. To stop is to admit the void. So they cut. Knives flash, steel bites flesh, blood, dark, slow, trickles down arms, streaks robes, stains the stones. They scream now, not to Baal, but from pain, from pride, from the terror of being heard by nothing. The air fills with the copper scent of blood, the stench of sweat, the sour tang of desperation. They dance, stumble, collapse, rise again. A ritual without meaning, a fire without fuel, a prayer with no listener. The sun sinks. Shadows stretch like fingers across the mountain. The hour comes, the time of atonement, when smoke used to rise from the temple in Jerusalem, when a lamb was laid on the stone, when a priest called out the name of the Lord, and the people trembled. That altar is cold now, forgotten. But here, on this barren ridge, another altar waits, unlit, unanswered. The wood is dry, the stones are still, the silence deepens, the crowd watches, not with hope, but with the dull ache of exhaustion. The prophets of Baal collapse, their voices gone, their blood spent, their God silent. Elijah walks, slow, bare feet on stone. He touches the altar. The stones, rough, cold. He arranges them, digs a trench, piles wood, places the sacrifice. Then, water, jar after jar, drenching the wood, filling the trench, until the stones weep, until the ground is soaked, until even the dust surrenders. 3 years of drought, and now, water. Wasted or waiting? He stands, looks up. The sky, still sealed. The clouds, distant, heavy, gathering, not with promise, but with weight. The kind that comes before the storm, before the reckoning, before the fire falls. He moves, not fast, not slow. A man who knows the weight of moments. Elijah. Dust on his sandals. Calluses on his feet. The prophets of Baal lie broken, bodies curled like dried leaves, voices gone to gravel, their knives dull, their blood dark in the dust. He steps past them. No glance, no triumph. Just purpose. The altar, crumbled, forgotten. Stones scattered like teeth from a jaw. He bends, picks one, then another. 12, not more, not less. Each one rough, each one chosen. Jacob's sons, the old promise, the forgotten name. He sets them down, one by one, fits them like bones into a skeleton. The shape returns, not grand, not carved, just stone on stone, a memory of fire, a whisper of covenant. Then the trench. He kneels, fingers dig, fingernails split, soil, dry, cracked, pale as bone, gives way. A circle, wide, deep, around the base, a moat for water, for waiting, for the impossible. The people watch, eyes sunken, lips cracked. They do not speak, do not ask, but their breath hitches. A jar is lifted, then another. Water, precious, hoarded, drawn from deep wells, pours. First time, over the wood, into the trench. It runs, fast, thirsty. The logs drink. The earth swallows. Then again, another jar, and another, a third. The trench fills, pools, reflects the sky. The wood glistens, dripping, sodden. The stones weep. Water seeps into the cracks. The dust turns to mud. The offering, wrapped in cloth, laid on top, sinks slightly, soaked through. The air smells of wet bark, of damp stone, of sacrifice drenched in drought's last gift. No shouting, no dancing, no blood. He stands, hands empty, face up. The sky, Gray, heavy, clouds low, thick, pressing down like a lid. He speaks, not loud, not soft, a voice that cuts the stillness like a plow through soil. O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, the names, old, true, carved in time, let it be known today, not tomorrow, not later, now, that you are God in Israel, not Baal, not Asherah, not silence. Answer me, a single request, not for rain, not for food, for revelation, that this people may know, that they may see, that they may remember, that they may turn. The words hang, not echoing, just there, like a thread pulled taut. Then, a tear. In the sky, not rain, not wind, a split, a rupture, as if the heavens were cloth and something behind them pulled it apart. Light, white, blinding, not from the sun, from nowhere, everywhere. A bolt, not jagged, not branching, a column, a spear of fire. It falls, not strikes, falls. Like a curtain dropping, like a verdict spoken. It hits the altar, the soaked wood, the water-filled trench, the drenched offering, and fire. Not flame, fire. It rises, not from below, from within, from the water, from the wood, from the stones. It consumes. The water boils, steam erupts, thick, hissing, rolling in clouds. The trench, full a moment ago, empties, not by soaking, by vanishing. The fire drinks it. The logs ignite, though wet, burst into orange and blue. The stones glow, not red, white. The offering, wrapped, soaked, heavy, catches, not slowly, instantly. Ashes rise, not drift, fly, like birds fleeing a burning forest. The heat, waves ripple the air. It hits the people, faces flush, sweat beads, then evaporates. The smell, burnt wood, scorched earth, something holy, fills the mountain. They fall, not one, not two, all. Faces to the ground, foreheads in dust, hands flat, shoulders shaking, not from cold, from awe, from terror, from the weight of seeing. The sound, silence. Then a shout, one voice, then 10, then hundreds, rising, not chanting, crying. The Lord, He is God. Again, louder. The Lord, He is God. Not Baal, not silence, not power. Him, the name, the truth, the only one. It rolls down the mountain, echoes off the rocks, reaches the valley, the sea, the sky, answers, not with thunder, with stillness. The fire burns, but the people do not move. They stay, prostrate, weeping, shouting, over and over. The same words, the only words that matter. Then, movement. Elijah points toward the false prophets, still on the ground, still broken, still alive. Men rush, grab them, drag them down the slope toward the brook Kishon, not far, not hidden, in the open. Justice, not rage, not revenge, judgment. The blades come out, not for show, for work. The necks are bared, the steel bites. One, then another, then all. The blood flows, not into the dry earth, into the stream. The water runs red, then clears, The bodies are left, not buried, not honored, forgotten. The mountain is clean. The altar burns. The fire still licks the stones. The trench is dry, the wood ash. The offering gone, only smoke remains, rising, straight, not drifting, a column, like the fire that fell. The people rise, slowly, faces wet, eyes wide. They look at Elijah, not as a man, as a sign. He turns, looks east, toward the sea. The clouds, still heavy, begin to shift. A wind stirs, not hot, cool, from the water. It lifts the ash, carries it. The first drop falls on his forehead, small, cold. Then another, on the stone. Then rain, not a sprinkle, not a shower, a flood, a breaking, a release. It pours, beats the mountain, soaks the people, fills the trench, washes the blood, cleans the altar. The sky opens, the drought ends, the silence breaks. The fire was the sign. The rain is the answer. The altar fades, not crumbles, dissolves into memory. What remains is not stone, but shadow. No, not shadow, echo. The echo of wood, heavy, splintered. Raised is not on Carmel, but on a hill outside a city's gate. That wood, drenched once in water, now drenched in something darker, thicker, running in rivulets down grain, soaking into knots. Not rain, not sacrifice poured from jars. Blood, his blood. The same wood that held a bull now holds a man, not bound by rope, but by nails, not slain by knife, but by sky. The sky that turned black at noon, the sky that could not bear to look. The bull, massive, neck thick with muscle, life pulsing in its veins, a worthy offering, they thought, but only a signpost, a finger pointing down a long road. That road ends not in fire from heaven, but in a body hanging limp. Not a beast, a lamb, silent, unresisting, the true offering, the only one whose breath, when stilled, made the earth tremble. Not for show, for purchase, for payment. The sins, yours, mine, the whole bent world, laid not on horns, but on shoulders, on a crossbeam, on a name, Jesus. Elijah cried out, one voice, cracked with thirst, answer me. And the fire came, but another voice, from another hill, not cracked, clear, calm. Father, glorify your name. And the voice came back, not with flame, with thunder. I have glorified it and will glorify it again. That prayer, longer than Elijah's, deeper, not for proof, for purpose, for the ones not yet born, for the ones who would stand centuries later, staring at a tree, wondering if love could die and still win. Water, jar after jar, poured until the ground could take no more, until the trench ran full, until even faith seemed drowned. But that water, precious, rare, was not wasted. It was prophecy, a foreshadowing. For on another day, when the sky split not with fire, but with silence, water came again. Not from jars, from side, blood and water, flowing not to drench wood, but to cleanse hearts, to fill cisterns long dry, to become a river no drought can touch. The Spirit, given, not earned, poured out on all flesh, because the altar was soaked first, so we wouldn't have to be. Fire, always fire. It speaks, not in words, in light, in heat, in consumption. On Carmel it came from above, a visitor, a guest. It ate the sacrifice, the wood, the water, the stones, but left the man, left the mountain, left the world still waiting. Here, on this hill, it came not as guest, as judge, as wrath, as love wrapped in flame. The fire did not fall on the sacrifice. It was the sacrifice. The Father's hand not holding back, but letting go, letting the fire of holiness fall full upon the Son. No water to quench it, no trench to contain it. Only flesh, only love, only obedience. And the fire consumed what it found, sin, all of it. Every lie, every wound, every hidden thing burned to ash. Carmel needed fire again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. A cycle, a repetition, a reminder that the debt remained. But here, once, one cry, "It is finished." And the veil tore, not from top to bottom, from heaven to earth. The way opened, not with smoke, with silence, with a tomb soon empty. The fire that fell on Carmel proved God was real. The fire that burned on Calvary proved he was near enough to suffer, near enough to die. Elijah called for fire to show the people who God was. Jesus endured the fire so the people could know him, not from afar, not in terror, in embrace, in bread, in wine, in breath. The difference? One man stood beside the altar. The other was the altar. And then, after the fire, after the dark, after the breath stopped, came another fire, not from sky, from within the earth, from within death itself. The resurrection, not a return, a transformation. The grave could not hold what the fire had purified. The stone rolled, not because of wind, but because life could not be contained. That morning, light not golden, but blinding, proved what the cross had paid. The Father said yes, not with thunder, with an empty tomb, with linen cloths lying still, with a gardener who spoke a name. We do not climb mountains now, do not dig trenches, do not pour out our own blood. We stand on flat ground, on grace, on the certainty that the tree once lifted has become the root of all life. The cross, wood, nails, blood, fire, was not the end. It was the hinge. The world turned there, and we who walk in its long shadow, no, not shadow, light. We carry the scent of that fire, not in nostrils, in bones, in breath, in the quiet moments when we whisper, not "answer me," but "thank you." The sea, still, breath held, waves uncurling at the edge of the world, a hush, not empty, full. The kind of quiet that settles in the bones after shouting, after running, after fire. The sun dips low, not crashing, sliding. A slow surrender to the horizon. Gold bleeds into rose, rose into indigo. The water catches it, holds it, shimmers like oil on glass. Warmth lingers on the skin, faint, fading. The air tastes of salt and distance and endings that don't ache. You, alone on the shore, sand cool beneath bare feet, damp, giving. Each step leaves a mark. Then the tide lifts it away. No trace, no record. You've stood where no one else would, spoke when silence was easier. Held the line while voices around you bent, twisted. You thought you were the last, the only one who remembered the name, who still cared, who still stood with feet planted in truth while the ground shifted beneath others. But you were never solitary, never the final ember. There were others, hidden, quiet, unseen, not on mountaintops, in kitchens, in hospital rooms, in the back rows, hands folded, eyes closed, lips moving, not clapping, not trending, just standing. Not because it was popular, because it was true. 7,000, not counted, not named, just present, like roots beneath the soil, unseen, holding. The world wavers, limping, one step toward light, one step back into shadow, choosing neither, settling for echo, for compromise, for comfort. But you were called to stand, not to win arguments, not to dominate, to witness, to be a single flame in a room full of flickers. And you did. You raised your voice, not in rage, in clarity. You named what was real, and the heavens responded, not with spectacle, not with noise, with fire, a single tongue, a dissent, a confirmation. The word tested, proven, not by your strength, not by your cleverness, by his presence. He answered, not because you bargained, not because you bled, because it is his nature to speak, to reveal, to defend his name. You don't need to cut, to scream, to beg, to prove you're worthy of being heard. He already hears, not the performance, not the desperation, the whisper, the breath between words, the ache beneath the silence. You don't need to earn his attention. It is already given, lavished, unearned, 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 like rain on dry ground, like breath in a sealed tomb, like light in a cave. Now, rest. Let the weight go, not the truth, not the calling, but the burden of carrying it alone. Lay it down, here, on this shore, where the waves erase, where the sky softens. The work is not yours to finish. The fire has fallen. The altar stands. The sacrifice already made. Not by your hands, not on your back, on a hill. Once for all, the nails, the thorns, the breath that stopped, the side that opened. That was the offering, the only one that counts. You stand on finished ground, grace beneath your feet. Not sand, not stone, something deeper, something eternal. The sun breaks through. One last beam, sharp, golden, cutting the cloud cover. A promise, not of ease, of rain, of life returning, of cisterns filling, of roots drinking deep. The drought is ending, in the land, in your soul, the Lord. He is God. The waves, the light, the breath, all whisper it. Now sleep. The night is kind. Fade.